per male leopard. They've got bigger areas because they've got to have multiple females in that area. So their area is more to do with having as many females as possible or access to. Whereas the female leopard, they have slightly smaller areas. And Karula, the female that's here, she's got the largest area of all the female leopards that are known, or territories that are known in Sabi Sands, at a couple of thousand hectares. I think 2,500 to 3,000 hectares. That's about 9,000 acres. Down south on the rivers where there's lots of animals, not lots of animals, but lots of water, so lots of animals coming and going, there the areas can be as small as 500-600 hectares, which is about 1,500 to 2,500 acres for a female leopard. For her, it's more about resources, because she will fall in an area where she will have access to sometimes, like with Shadow and Karula at the moment, two of the leopards we know here, they've been mating with various leopards when they are in estrus. So you have to consider resources, food and water, dominant behavior for female and male, and obviously mating opportunities. Those are the things that play a role. So have to keep those in mind. But as I said, I think we're going to just shake it off a little bit. What did you spot there, Liam? Ah, an impala. Well spotted. We didn't even see this. This is a male or a ram. You can see that by the horns. I know you've been watching some impala with some lambs with Jamie earlier. Lovely time of year this, when the lambs are being born. I mean, they started about a week ago, the first ones. And every morning you can see them in some herds. Before we continue on, I'm not a very superstitious person, but you know, you must use what you can. You know, if you everything possible, use it, especially when it's this time, when you guys are joining us in safari. You want to find this leopard. So I picked this up. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Too close? There we go. There we go. And this is actually, let me show you. This end there, that would be where the quill sits in the porcupine. And this is one of the shorter quills. They've got long quills as well, maybe 3 times as long as this. But this one will be one of the short ones. It is extremely sharp at the tip. It's like a needle. And it's got that black and white, what's called aposematic coloration, which tells you of a warning color. If you think of like a skunk, for instance, that's a good example. But the reason I picked this up is, in fact, I think what you should do, one of you guys, maybe more of you if you can, when you are with Hayden again or when you're going to the tent, just ask him the question about the porcupine quill last year when we were doing the trials for Big Cat Week, building up to what we're doing now. He'll tell you a good story about porcupine quills and then bringing luck. So that's what I'm sort of hoping for. As I said, if leopards go zigzag or if they've got special techniques to sneak away. Well, you know, with any animal really in the bush like this, they can get away from you if you want to. If you bother it in some way and it wants to run away, it just does. I mean, keep in mind, leopard move away from lion all the time. Impalas that we just saw run away from leopard. Elephant chase away other things. So all these animals interact. So even if we did disturb it, which we don't, but even if we did, that leopard could disappear like that. He just goes through the bush and he's gone. So if a leopard wants to disappear, it disappears. Whether it's got special techniques and strategies, yeah, I'm sure it does. I mean, they can zigzag, they can use the drainage line. So sometimes, like what happened with us, we were sitting on this side, we just crossed this donga, or this deep ravine that we couldn't cross, and by the time we could get around to the other side, he was gone. Now, he might have moved in that time easily 300 or 400 yards, or he might have just moved 20 yards and gone and lain in a place, you know, like a nice place where he's maybe nice and cool in the shade, and then you don't see him. We did walk through that area quite extensively, so I think he's moved more than 20 or 30 yards, but they can disappear in many, many ways. But yeah, zigzag, whoop, whoop, and they're gone. So we're going to take a little drive, maybe get lucky with something else, come back here again, I would say 20-25 minutes, closer to 6 o'clock Central African time. Hopefully we find that leopard. Brent is still out there on foot as well. I'm sure he's feeling like me, a little bit down for not finding it, but excited for possibly still finding it. So have a nice walk with him, and we'll see you back in a bit.
So we haven't had any luck, so we're coming back to the last place we know that leopard was. So we're coming back to check for tracks. But while we're going down here, this has got to be possibly one of my most favorite little parts of the reserve. This staircase of roots from timbuertes, leadwoods and jackalberries, and it's been created by elephants, mostly walking down the steep bank. When we get down to the bottom, I'm going to get Chandra to swing up and show you. It's sort of an elephant staircase. But while we move to the last position of those tracks, or that last position we know that leopard was, which was just here in this drainage system, we go, let's get Chandra to swing around. And you can see it's almost specific, but area specific. If we go up into the Cape Mountains, where there's not a lot of animals and they've survived, that is up to an incredible 500,000 acres. The Kalahari Desert, 100,000 acres. So it just depends where those animals are. In a prey-rich environment like this, the Sabi Sands, about 10,000 acres is the maximum. So we know that leopard was right here. We're going to keep moving along this drainage line, and hopefully we have some luck when we're back after this short break. We'll see you soon. So we're going to keep moving. Spotted some movement. I'm not sure what it was. Almost looked like the white flick of a leopard's tail. Let's go a bit closer and see and investigate. On a really other lucky note, that if we get no luck with Mr. Mvula, that grey-hooded kingfisher's nest we found 2 mornings ago is in this area. It'd be really nice to see if we can see that beautiful bird. But for the meantime, let's stay focused on finding cats. Not sure what that was. The wind's coming straight from behind us, so we're going to move around. So Peter's going to go see what else he can find, but he'll be close by. So in case we find this leopard, we can call him straight in on the radio. I've got a hunch, just that little tingle in my gut about where he might be. So the area we're going into now is very difficult for vehicles to get into. Lots of broken trees. And if I were a male leopard, that's where I'd want to have a snooze. See up ahead, some big trees, some thickets. We're going to cross this little erosion patch. This is natural erosion. happens on lateritic soils. They break up very easily, and that's how bigger rivers are formed. So, even though we are looking for a leopard, it's important not to forget the little things. There's incredibly beautiful little butterfly there when it opens its wings. It's called perfect broken country around here. So what we're looking for is that little flick of the tail, or that white belly. There was something that moved just across there. It did, I don't want to go too, but it did look like a leopard. Just saw a shadow go through the bush. So, we've been following this drainage line. I went with a gut instinct, and I think I've just got a glimpse of that leopard moving through this thicket. We haven't had any tracks, but if I was a male leopard, this is where I would be. We just had a shadow going through these thickets, so we're going to just sneak forward. It's really thick in there, quite dark, so quite often leopard will lie down. So I'm going to walk past. When you look at a leopard, it knows its camouflage has been given. So I'm going to walk past. We're going to walk past and glance. And if he is lying in that thicket, he shouldn't run away. It's really, really thick in there, and I don't want to walk straight in there and frighten the animal or make it feel uncomfortable. But I definitely saw something move into that dark thicket. Birds are built on historical game paths. Also, if they have a choice, they don't like walking through the dew and getting wet feet and wet faces. So they use the roads as highways to patrol in their territory, the same as they would use a dry creek bed. So guys, it's going to take us quite a while to safely move around this bush. Specifically because I don't want to disturb if he is in there. So while we do that, let's go see what Peter's up to.
Guys, from Brent on the walk. I thought he just heard something. Maybe he finds that we've been looking for. But, you know, it's brilliant. We made a change, decided to leave the leopard for a bit, just shake it off. And we had elephants right here to start. I promise you, just there. We're going to find them. Here's actually signs that they have been here. They were eating these branches. These are from probably yesterday, other elephants. You can see they pushed the tree over. Hello, Michael. Here's a youngster. Fantastic. This is the group again. Michael is 11 years old. Michael, just out of interest, that young elephant would be about 8 or 9 years old, so a couple of years younger than you. You were just asking, can elephants survive on their own? Short answer would be yes. They would be able to survive, and I presume you mean out here in the sort of natural world or in the natural habitat for them. There is one of the adults, probably even that one's mother. Yeah, that one's mother. You can see just looking for a little bit of comfort there. But on its own, an elephant would be very lonely out here. They are highly social animals, meaning they like company, they like family, like us. You know, you like to have brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and friends. It's nice to have other animals around. And the same for elephants. They would like to have company. And obviously, as a species, in other words, the elephant, if it's alone, wouldn't be able to have babies later on, so it wouldn't survive in the long run. But they can certainly survive. And in fact, the bulls, Michael, the big males, they are often on their own. You know, once they mature, obviously, but then they will meet up and link up with other elephants again. They won't stay on their own. I would say probably about, it's always difficult for me to guess exactly the age, but I would put it around 7, 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, as I said, for this one. That's the one we just looked at earlier. And the one behind would be about 3 or 4. The elephant also have a very long gestation. I wonder who can guess how long elephants' gestation lasts. How long do they carry the fetus before birth? If any of you know, let us know. Beautiful. Let's watch this a bit. Amber, I'm going to answer your question shortly. Good question. When do elephant bulls leave the herd? But I just want to call Brent on the radio quickly. He's looking for me. Brent, you copy? Guys, Brent had a very brief visual. Now please know that I love elephant. You know this, those of you that have been on drive with me. I would love to spend the rest of the afternoon with them, but we have been looking for that leopard. Brent saw a flash only. Cheers, Ellies. We'll see you later. We might catch up with them again. And I'm going to answer your question shortly while we drive. But I want to cover a bit of ground. Hopefully we can find that leopard. Just quick to follow that, or to finish that question. Elephant bulls leave the herd round about 15, 16, 18, sometimes as young as 14, they start going off on their own, and they hang around with other bulls. They tend to go into these little bachelor groups. But guys, I'm going to cover a bit of ground. You're going to go to Hayden in the tent, but I'm sure you're going to come back here shortly. Hopefully we can find that leopard, and I would love you to be there for that moment of discovery. See you back in a bit.
So we're still after those cats. We're still after that leopard. We're getting close. I can just feel it. But it's not just big carnivores that have got hair and you know, big cats that we have here. We've got other predators as well, other carnivores, and we've also got many ones of those that are snakes. Now this snake here is a skin, of a snake. It's a skin of a spitting cobra that was found, that actually lives in the roof of the research centre. You know, that's a reason. It's only half the skin. The snake was probably twice that length, okay? But that's not a snake. This is a snake. Wow, come and check this out. This is the skin of the African rock python. In this part of the world, it's known as the Southern African python. Now, they shed their skin for a few different reasons. And I'll just give you a little bit of a look over it here while Tebs goes over with the camera. One is to remove parasites and external sort of things like that. But the other thing is just so when the snake actually grows, it sheds its skin. As it gets older, it starts to slow down. In the early times or the early years of its life, maybe 4 times a year. As it starts to get older, maybe twice a year. Now, it's made of keratin or beta-keratins, and it's not actually the skin itself, it's the outer layer of the skin. What happens is, it starts to go a really dull colour, and there is a scale over the skin of the eyelid as well, and that starts to go quite cloudy. As it goes cloudy, it recedes into a very, very quiet environment and starts to go very, very dormant whilst it sheds that. The skin actually peels off from the nose first, and it breaks away, and then the animal will use its body to peel it off like an old sock, really, and pull it right off the body from the nose down, from the head down, all the way to the tail tip. Just come and have a look at these. The body scales on the top here, they're quite transparent as well. You can see my fingers through there. Okay, quite transparent, but underneath are these ventral scales, and particularly on the constrictors or the pythons, they have these scales so they can climb. They've got a little ridged edge on them. They get great traction from those. And when that process actually happens, they liquefy the inside of the skin to separate it from the body, and then it peels off quite nicely. When they come out, they're brilliantly coloured, absolutely magnificent, and ready to rock and roll again. Now, this snake here is the largest snake in Africa. Okay, I'm not sure the length of this one, but in the next segment, when you come back to the tent, I'm going to put it all out on the ground, and we're going to put a measuring tape on it and measure it. I haven't done that yet, but we're going to do it when we come back. Oh, look what we're going to cross to. One of my favourites. Come and check out these guys.
And look at one of my most favourite creatures that we have out here. A very tender scene between a mom and her little cub. This is a spotted hyena, and probably one of the most maligned animals that we have out here, and especially being on Big Cat Week and talking about the 2 big cats, leopards and lions. Of course, they are touted as the arch enemies and as thieves and scavengers. But I will tell you something. You are looking at the smartest predator that we have on this reserve, and particularly in this case, probably one of the cutest. This tiny little cub with its mother. We're not sure exactly whether it's a male or a female. It's very difficult to tell with spotted hyenas in particular, but especially at that tender little age, trying to get in there to suckle, and mom is just not being cooperative. Giving her cub a good grooming session. At the same time, poor old cub is contorting itself to try and get at the nipples. Well, I think that Peter has some exciting updates. Let's head across to him.
Guys, we haven't found them yet, but we'd like. Where's he gonna be? Oh, very tricky terrain. Guys, Brent and them are going to move out. They've heard the growl. It's just here somewhere. Just here somewhere. Very tricky. Once again, just to highlight to you kind of terrain these guys can go into. Okay, I know a way to get up there, we just have to go around. There's another game drive here, also looking for a leopard. It's a good friend of ours, Johan, and his daughter Jessica, who loves Karula, guys. Hopefully you see him shortly. Jessica, his daughter, absolutely loves Karula the leopard. In fact, she's got a blanket with Karula's picture on it. I'm talking to them just now. Guys, we're going to just go around here. Oh, that's also an exciting feeling for Brent and them. When you're on the tracks, just like us, looking for this leopard, hoping to find it, and then suddenly you hear that low, we always call it like a Harley Davidson engine almost, especially with lions, like a low rumble. And a big flash of a view as well. I'll go one up for that, Chris. Chris is just saying that his Aunt Carol is watching with us. Doesn't believe that this is live. Carol, you should ask me a question if you like, and I'll answer it for you. But in the meantime, welcome on Safari Live. And that goes to everyone that's maybe just joined us in the last few minutes. Guys, keep in mind, we are live in the African bush. It is thick in here. We've been looking for this leopard. We decided to leave him alone for a bit. Brent and them came back and tracked in here again. They've heard him. He's just in here. Now, firstly, very important, perhaps this is your first safari with us. This leopard, we know him well. His name is Mvula. It means rain. He's the dominant male around this area. But we know him extremely well. He's not upset by us being here. He's not threatened by us being here. He's not worried even. In fact, half the time we struggle so much to find them is because if they're sleeping under a bush and we're going close by, they don't even lift their heads up because they're so used to us. So don't think that we're harassing this animal in any way. He doesn't care if we're here or not. The reason he would have growled at Brent when they were tracking in there is just because when you get really close, especially on foot, they perceive humans potentially as a bit of a threat, and he was just letting him know, sort of like, hey buddy, watch it. That kind of sort of warning if you want. But oh, what terrain this is to get a vehicle into. But don't worry. We've never been afraid of the challenge of getting a vehicle into a leopard. We will do everything that's possible, within reason, of course. It's just this little block here, which is it's just dense with foliage and twigs and branches. Guys, now I've mentioned this earlier as well, but just a reminder again. Elephants, buffalo, rhino, hippo, all these big things walk around here all the time. Through brush, over brush. There's an example of, for instance, for elephants that's eaten the bark from that tree. The tree then dies from. We go over a few branches. I mean, we're like 20, 30 yards away from a leopard at the moment. We know this. Come on. Just here somewhere. We're talking about yards and feet. And normally, one of the most important characteristics, watch that round view, of a good hunter is patience. But I have less than 3 minutes to find this leopard because I really want you guys to see him before we have to go to an ad break. Okay, he's just here somewhere. That's the Djuma one. That's where Brent and them were standing, just to show you, on the right hand side. That bit of sand there, they were standing just down there. You can see them through the twigs. They haven't seen anything. Come on guys, look carefully. Exciting though. 2 minutes to add. If we're going to find this leopard before then, we must. Unbelievable. It's just here somewhere. Oh, it just sneaked through here. Oh. I can hear everyone trying to be quiet, but inwardly everyone's going, come on! What's that? No, it's a branch. Unbelievable. He's just in here somewhere. What terrain though, huh? Perfect for a leopard. What we're looking for is obviously anything that looks sort of like a leopard, but that tail tip, that white tip on the tail when it flicks. Amazing. He can hear us at the moment. He can probably even see us. Well, we have seconds before the break. About 10 of them. We're going to see you after the break. And hopefully we'll have him by then. Unbelievable. Maybe in here somewhere, I don't know. He was walking parallel here to our right-hand side. Amazing. He's really given. Sorry. He has got some beautiful activity hyena den, and we're going to go there very shortly, but let's just stick our nose in here in case he's come through this gap. Almost. Oh, where can he be? For the moment, we're going to keep looking around. And we're going to get you back. I promise you, everything possible will be done to find this leopard. But enjoy the hyena. It's one of the magic things at Djuma at the moment. See you in a bit.
While they continue their search for the leopard, we are still with this stunning family scene. And I'm just going to be quiet for one moment so that you can hear the little begging sounds the cub is making. Been squealing to Mom. And the older cub is sitting at the back there, behind the termite mound, thinking about approaching. I've been wondering a lot about where this female falls into the ranking system. Those wounds on her back are healing nicely. She looks as though they've all healed up perfectly. And I still wonder whether or not that was a remnant of the attack by the wild dogs. It could well be the same hyena. Of course, it could have been anything from a tangle with a leopard to other hyenas. That's part of a hierarchy struggle. Oh, Mom, be careful, baby's head. Look at that beautiful face. Tail swishing. Oh, fly. I was about to say tail swishing, trying to... Too slow, Mom. I think you missed them. Those flies dodged you. And the den is starting to acquire that specific used hyena den smell to it as the various parasites and things start to build up. Oh, and we've got another one coming through. Here we go. We could get some interaction happening here. Now, who is this? Now, we can learn so much from this greeting. A bit reluctant to approach too closely. There's another one coming up behind us as well. And welcome back from the adverts, and it's all happening here at the hyena den. We've just had 2 new arrivals and potentially a departure. Here he comes, right on top of our vehicle. Spotted hyenas are the best for this. Hello, what you up to? Now we can learn so much from the way that this hyena interacts with the females at the den. Making its way up to the top to the oldest cub. The oldest cub at the den site has come out. And immediately to the genital sniffing, typical greeting ceremony of spotted hyenas. And there we go. We've just learned something very interesting. You see how that adult hyena has cocked its leg up like that? That very often is a sign of submission, exposing the most sensitive parts for the cub to sniff. And this is one of the things that I find so fascinating about spotted hyenas. Not only are they purely matriarchal, so the females are much bigger, much more powerful than the males, but they have a very strict status and hierarchy within the clans that they live in. And I suspect that this little cub that we're looking at now, we've been watching these dens for a long time. We've been watching these clans for a long time. And we have a very strong suspicion that the mother of this cub, the oldest cub, is the matriarch of the clan, so the highest ranking member. And for that reason, that's why her cub has inherited such a high-ranking status. Actually, you can see this little hyena being very submissive, ears back. The oldest cub has now lost interest in... Oh, no, going to come back and explore again. Duck my head out of the way. Oh, moving away almost immediately. I've mentioned that spotted hyenas are one of my favorite creatures out here, and I just want to watch and see what happens with this interaction with the oldest cub and the youngest cub. She's gone up to explore, carefully watched by the mother of the youngest cub. The little cub is suckling there. You can't see her too clearly at the back, but the oldest cub is now trying to nudge and get to her. I said these are my favorite creatures, and while we watch Mom keep an eye on happenings, Emily, who is 10 years old and watching, you are wondering why hyenas' ears are so round. Well, it's because hearing is one of their best senses. So when they move around in clans and they operate in groups, they generally move about on their own. But if there's a kill, say a lion kill, or if they need support from other hyenas, Franklin calling, and there's another hyena, there's hyenas everywhere. Emily, those ears operate like radar dishes, so they make all of the noises more intense, which means their hearing is incredible. we're gonna stick around and watch this incredible family scene play out. But I know that Brent wants to say goodbye to you all before the light disappears, so let's head across to him for now. We'll be right back.
So, hasn't this been exciting? We knew that leopard was in the area. The sun's setting now, and that's not the best time for us to be on foot. So we snuck into that area where I had that hunch that that leopard might be. It was the most probable spot for me where he could have moved to. He had a full belly, so he's likely to have slept. He probably in this area trying to find him, and hopefully as it gets a bit darker he might move out of those thickets. How's it, Pete?
Very good, just except we've got a
The tricky cat.
transparent leopard or something. It's unbelievable. But you had a quick visual, huh?
Yeah, we had a quick visual as he moved through a thicket.
Yeah.
And then we went by, we called you, and we stood on top of that termite mound.
That's where you saw him last.
And then I thought he was just above that, and I thought maybe he's ducked down and gone in there.
Yeah.
So as I got to the bottom of the termite mound, I just got that, and I was like, oh, time to turn around and come out of the area. So hopefully, as the sun goes down, he is going to come out.
He's going to be. I mean, he's literally. I was going in there. And I mean, I was, as you can imagine, we thought we were going to see him any second, and it just doesn't happen. So it's like he's just sneaking around from us. I'm sure we're going to find him. Johan and them are helping us as well, and we must find him. There's no
we have
choice.
to.
I mean, he's been running circles around us the whole afternoon. So
No, but as I say,
good feeling though. Huh?
It is.
Always a good feeling. I'm sure Brent, he's done this lots of times, but nothing picks up your heart like
No.
a little bark from a leopard. Eh?
No,
So
there's nothing for me better
suddenly
on
you know
foot.
you're very alive. You know, alive and live. So we're going to keep driving. It's fun
Good luck.
to
So hopefully Peter gets some success here. And as you're saying, literally for me, it is one of my favorite things in the world, being on foot and specifically tracking big cats. So I won't count this as a success yet till Pete can get you a nice view of that animal. We saw it, but that doesn't count. We want to bring it to you live. And that's one of the things about being live. We can't script, we can't plan, and sometimes the leopards are just that little bit sneakier than we can counter for. So we're going to have to move back to our vehicle, which is on the other side of the drainage line. Don't worry, we'll take a wide berth of where they're looking for the leopard. And while we do that, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
I think that we're looking at the creatures that are probably, in their own way, somewhat responsible for Mvula's sneakiness, the big male leopard that we've been following. The reason behind that is that this clan were following him this morning and attempting to steal his kill, and I think somewhat successfully chased him out of the area. The other thing that gives me that idea is, before, when I had a clearer view of the mother's face, I noticed that she still has a bit of blood around her lips. And I think that not only is Mvula being sneaky, but I think these guys snuck a meal from him. There we can hear the little begging noises that one's making. I'm just going to try to be quiet for the moment so you can hear them. They're adorable. Now gone very quiet. Now, spotted hyenas are some of my favorite creatures out here. But Rich, you were wondering if we get any brown hyena, which is the other main species of hyena that occurs in this area. It does happen. They're very, very rare, at least in areas like this. And the reason that they are so rare is that they are outcompeted by things like spotted hyenas and lions. But I know that one has been seen once on a live safari, an incredibly exciting moment, but it was a good couple of years ago. And generally they prefer the more rocky areas around here. Now I want to head across and see if we can find a different position and maybe get to see these hyenas' faces. And while I do that, let's head across to Hayden in the tent.
Right, so we've just come outside the tent and I've put the snakeskin out here. We're about to measure it. I haven't done this before with this snakeskin. I'm using Lou's entrusted foot to stand on the end here. Thank you, Lou. Okay, I'm doing it in centimetres for the moment and I'll convert for you. 1 metre. 2 meters, that's 6 feet. 3 meters, 4 meters. My goodness. I'm going to give it an extra 10, 15 centimeters for its head. 4.2 meters. Lou, can you get your calculator and just do a conversion for me, please, matey? And
it's about 13 feet 9 inches.
13 feet 9 inches long. Now that animal would weigh anything up to about 120 pounds when they get really big. They have been recorded even bigger than this, but that animal there would take down small antelope, monkeys, loads of different mammals. And I tell you what, I have seen these in West Africa with a whole duiker inside them, a massive bulge just here, and I tell you what, they are a predator to be watching. They are an incredible animal. It might be Big Cat Week, but these big snakes are just as formidable as the others. Let's cross back to Peter.
Well, guys, welcome back to the trickiest leopard tracking afternoon we've had in years, I think. He's really been giving us the runaround, and we're looking. Johan from one of the other lodges are looking, as well as Brent, as you obviously saw just back there. And just in here somewhere, it's tantalizingly close. But wait, no. Oh no, it's the just sort of movement through the brush, but it's the other vehicle up at the top doing the same thing we are doing down here. Just checking. And I guess it's just, I use the word tantalizing because we know he's here. Brent heard him. We've been looking for him. But we also know that being a leopard, he can just move into the stuff and just disappear. As you can see, even looking from above, thick bush. We are also very close to quite a big road. In fact, you'll see now as I turn onto it. This is one of the main sort of access roads towards the lodges on the eastern side. There you can see from the air, thick bush. So just to our northern side, if you see where we're moving, the way we're moving forward towards our left, in other words, very, very thick. Got 40 minutes. We've got 40 minutes still to go. Basically everything from the way you're looking on the other side from where we are driving. That's the area he's in. If you spot him, please shout out immediately. Hashtag Safari Live as fast as you can so that we can hear about it. Yeah, and the sun is setting. This is leopard time. This is magic time in the bush. And guys, you know what? It's important to also sit back and just realize that what a safari is about, the experience we're having right now, even if we don't find this leopard, even if he manages to get away from us, that experience is what it's all about. The sun is setting, temperature is cooling down, you're with good friends, you're having an adventurous, magical time. And obviously I would love to find this leopard just as much as you do, but a safari, which actually means journey. The word safari comes from Swahili, the East African language, meaning journey or expedition. And the safari has got so much more to it than just seeing the leopard. Make no mistake, I want to see this leopard. But what we're doing right now is this shared experience of being in the bush, on an adventure, in Africa, out in the wild. That's the epitome of all of it. Obviously, I would love the exclamation mark at the end where I can go, leopard! But trust me, it'll be louder than that when we see it, because I've been looking for this thing now since before you could join us on the live safari this afternoon. Look at that beautiful sky. Since 2009, he's been seeing a lot by, or been seen a lot by the lodges and game drives. He's totally used to vehicles. Beautiful view there again as the sun is setting. You can see we're now in shadows, no more sunlight on us. Very important to know that this leopard doesn't mind what's going on here. He's just decided this afternoon that he doesn't want to be seen. He's going to stick to the thick stuff. So we're just going to hang around a bit. Hopefully he pops out. But at the same time, we've had some magic time there already this afternoon. We're going to go back to the hyena den. Enjoy it, and we'll see you back here, hopefully with a leopard.
Back on the ground with our spotted hyena family, and I'm keeping my voice nice and low just because I don't want to disturb the scene of contentment. Our little cub is still struggling to get access to Mom's nipples and to have a proper drink. And there's a lot of squeaking going on. Now, this den isn't in the best position. It means that Mom has to lie in an awkward pose to stay close to the edge of the den. But that little cub is only about 2 or 3 weeks old, and it's still very unsteady on its legs, which means that moving about to and from the entrance of the den is incredibly difficult for it. I also strongly suspect, I've been trying to work out a little bit about this young hyena mother. There's a very good chance that this is actually her first cub. That could also be why there is only one of them. There's two possibilities. One is that this cub is a female, and thus even at birth is possessing in much higher levels of androgen and testosterone and much more aggression, and she could have killed a sibling that was born with her, or that the second cub died during the birth, because for first-time hyena moms, the birthing process can be very, very difficult due to the nature of their high levels of testosterone and their physiognomy. Poor Mom is covered in flies, which could be attracted to the blood around her face. Looking at her now, you could be forgiven for mistaking them for dogs or being related to dogs, but hyenas are actually far more closely related to the cat family. But Joe, you were wondering what the difference is between spotted hyenas and wild dogs. Well, Joe, there's a couple of very big differences. First of all, as I said, hyenas are not in the dog family, so they're not canids, whereas wild dogs are true canines. They're the oh, shame, little one. Given up on having a drink, sharp teeth to the ear. The wild dogs are true canids. They're the sort of form of the African wolf. You could think of them in that way. They're also much smaller than hyenas. Ah, hello, madam. I think the matriarch has just arrived, the mother of the oldest cub. So, oh, she's looking very full. There is a very round belly there. There you go. Oh, little one fleeing. I'm just being quiet so you can hear the sounds they're making. Oh, and another little cub. Now, all of those sounds were coming from the submissive hyenas. Now, Tyler, sorry, Joe, I will get back to your question, but Tyler, you were wondering... Oh, chasing her away. Tyler, there's your answer to the question about how close you can get to the hyenas. It's not about how close you can get to them. It's about how close they will get to you. Mom's just checking to see that her baby's still okay. Tyler, I've had hyenas steal the rubber caps, the rubber oil caps off my wheels before. And I've bopped one on the head before for trying to chew a side mirror of a car. Oh, heading off around that side. The little cub is going to stay in that hole while mom is gone because it is so young. It's going to stay disappearing in there. I was answering Joe's question while I turn around and just see what these hyenas are up to. Joe, hyenas are much bigger, much bulkier, and they rely more on scavenging than they do on hunting for their prey. Their breeding system is different. So every female hyena, I've got to stop for 1 minute just because the hyenas are so close behind us. Hyenas, all female hyenas will have the chance to breed. Hello, girls. With wild dogs, it's usually only the alpha male and female that do. Sometimes a low-ranking female will have a chance, but generally not. This hyena den is all action. One of them settled down. Now, for those of you who are still on the internet, we are very much stuck between several hyenas. The matriarch has settled down right next to us. Oh, full belly. And sleep. The flies are clearly driving her mad. And someone has definitely had a very full meal. Now, we've got an extraordinary sunset happening here, so we're going to catapult you into the sky and have a look at it from the air. This is very convenient. The matriarch has of this, and I think at this point this particular character might need a name that we should probably start thinking about, but she's lying down right next to the car in exactly, heads up, there's another hyena coming back. This is the mother of the cub, or she's coming back, the mother of the cub's going back towards the den. She might be calling her youngster out. There you go. Oh. Checking that baby's okay after all of that. Very soft contact calls. You might need to move before it can. It's definitely making life difficult. And of course, after that large entrance hole, any further down, what's happening here, guys? Hello, little monster. Oops, stepped on a thorn. Oh, shame. Pulled it out of its foot. Complete with a little yelp. That was such a childlike imitation. Standing on a thorn and that quick yelp and then immediately pulling it out. They've got such tough feet. That must have gone right in between the toes to elicit that kind of noise. Oh, very itchy head. still young enough to be suckling and at the den, but definitely adventurous. Her legs splayed to stop it sliding down the hill. Oh, there's something very itchy on that left shoulder. We've got a whole series of hyena lying in exactly the wrong place. It's rather inconvenient of them, but it just goes to show how incredibly comfortable they are with our presence. This little one's still having quite a good broom and quite a good scratch. Munching a tail, and giving legs a good clean. Now, while you were gone, we have stayed with the hyenas, who have very cleverly managed to box us in. At the moment, I absolutely cannot turn on the car or move, short of really disturbing them. And of course, I don't want to do that since they do show such confidence. Little one's going to go in to try and drink, but unfortunately, right at an angle that Brian, my fantastic cameraman, absolutely cannot get. The little cub has disappeared into the den. The mom is at the back there. Oh, here we go. That's interesting, that interaction. Now this is, as I said, the matriarch of the clan with that huge full belly. And as the matriarch, she'll have first access to the carcass. She's also the mother of that cub behind her. Now beneath her, she will have a clan, we think of somewhere around maybe 10 to 12 different individual hyenas. And Eliza, you were wondering approximately how many we have. So this Djuma is probably the central part of this clan's territory. So we probably consider them to be the sole population. We also get a couple of odd nomadic males. I would say that puts it up to somewhere in the region of between 15 to 20 individual spotted hyenas in this small area alone. Hello, little one. Are you going to come and say hello now that mom's left you? Now, don't forget, guys, that we are live, which means that you can never predict when a hyena is going to lie down right beside your vehicle. But we're also interactive, so if you have questions about these amazing creatures or any of the other wonderful things that we show you on these shows, you can send them through to #SafariLive on Twitter. And please let us know as well where you are from. We love to hear from our viewers and learn about the different corners of the globe that you all come from. We're looking at this little cub looking despairingly over the top of the termite mound for Mom. Now, Mom is a fairly old hyena as the matriarch of this clan. Now, Anisha, I know you were wondering approximately how old hyenas can reach. The oldest hyena I've ever known in my life, I used to work for a research facility. The oldest one I ever knew of was about 13, but I have heard of them, or at least one that I saw regularly, but I have heard of them going up to sort of 16, possibly even 20 years of age. Oh, there she is. You have to have eyes in the back of your head if you're at a hyena den. She's found a more comfortable spot. And here's one of our other cubs. Now this cub is a couple of months older than the rest and has recently left, having a sniff there of the young mother's nipples just to smell the milk. Now hyenas don't suckle cubs that aren't theirs, so this is not her cub. Now those huge ears and those big eyes, there you can see definitely not a mother-cub interaction. Beautiful example of hyenas greeting each other. Ooh. Cubs definitely being submissive, and the young mother returning the favor. And as I said, this older cub is coming in. Ears, those big eyes, their night vision is incredible. Two cubs there interacting. These two have grown up together. They are most likely cousins, although not necessarily every individual in a hyena clan is related, but they're probably cousins. Following behind the older one. I definitely can't switch on the vehicle now without disturbing them. Looking for a free meal. That's not going to happen, little ones. That mother is not going to feed you. We've got 3 little cubs all huddling around now. Now, Diane, who's watching in Michigan, you were asking whether or not spotted hyenas, bit of play happening here, whether or not they have their babies in dens, and yes, they do. But what you picked up on is absolutely right. The adults cannot fit into the entrance of the den. Even this older cub that we're looking at now would probably struggle. It's at that age where it's now moving about with the parents. And the reason for that is it's got a very important protective function. Those tiny tunnels in there means that the cub can escape, and nothing potentially predatory, like, say, a leopard, would be able to fit in and attack it in there. So a very clever way of protecting their young. They're shuffling around and doing some incredible things, but while we watch them, let's head up into the sky to see what the drone is seeing.
Well, leopard or no leopard, what a sunset, what a day. Always fantastic to enjoy the pink skies and all the different shades and colors of sunset. There's just something absolutely, ultimately romantic about it. Often this time of day, when you stop for a sundowner with your guest on safari, you just stop somewhere under a nice tree or in a viewpoint, and you just enjoy that. The smells and the temperature and everything that is just alive around you. So it's a beautiful time, and I must say that at least on the inside, I'm starting to make peace with the fact that we might not find this leopard this evening. We still might as well, but some days you have to be happy just to say, you know what, it's been a lovely day, it's a stunning day, and if you find a leopard or you don't find a leopard, that doesn't decide, or that doesn't determine whether it's good or not good. We're going to keep looking because it could still happen, but we're also just enjoying all the sights and sounds of sunset. Well, we're back in the riverbed here. This is the last place that the leopard was heard in, and let's hope maybe there's a last chance. Lovely view. You can see us driving along the riverbed here. Kathy, you're saying it looks like we have the dream job, and Kathy, I'm going to have to just agree with you there. I've said this many times. for what I'm doing, for me, this is the perfect, best job in the world. I would choose this over being a Formula 1 race driver if that was the alternative. What's the best part and the worst part? I was going to say, just to bring it back to what we've been doing this afternoon, the best part perhaps would be that moment when you find the leopard. And the worst part maybe is the moment when you don't find the leopard. But that's not really a bad part. I'm being a little bit facetious there. But the worst part, I'll be very honest with you. The worst part for me is I just miss my family like crazy. They're in Namibia at the moment. My children and my wife love this in a big way. My daughter loves this. In fact, they were watching this morning on the safari. And when Scott was looking at that chameleon, for those of you that go on drive, she got super excited. She actually ran up. My wife had it up on the TV and she was just loving it. And then later on, James had an insect as well. And she was like... to share these experiences with people close to you and with people over a period of time. You know, I drove under this tree once. And we can't show it to you. No, let me go back a little bit just to show you. I think about it every time I drive through, so I might as well tell you about it. Years ago, my tracker's name was Rodney. He's a guide now. I saw him the other day when we were looking at Shadow. And we drove under this tree, and we were almost gone, you know, almost through it. And Rodney suddenly started laughing, and he pointed up. And on that branch, those branches, those two, there were two leopard on it. And this is years ago. This is probably 2003 or something. And it was Mafufunyan, a big male. He was the dominant male before Mvula, the guy that we're looking for at this moment. And he was up there with... I can't remember which female it was. I want to say Safari, maybe, the mother of Karula. Always think about that. Well, we're going to keep enjoying the sunset. And who knows, maybe find a surprise still before the end of the drive. But HD has got something to show. See you back in a bit.
How incredible that sunset. Every African sunset we get out here is different, and you just don't get tired of looking at them. So from one solitary predator that Peter's looking for, I've brought it down to a minute scale here, and we're going to have a look at another predator. Check this out. Right, I'm just going to take the lid off gently here. This is a centipede. Okay, now I just want to make sure I've got it in focus for you. It looks like it's there. Yeah, it's the best I'm probably going to get at the moment. These are predators, solitary predators, and they're active around dawn and dusk, and they feed on things like earthworms and cockroaches and other insects. Some species will feed on, some of the bigger ones will feed on frogs and birds, and they'll use their antennae to detect their prey because they don't have any eyes, so to speak. They have sensory organs that detect light. But I just want to show you something now very, very carefully. Now, trust me on this. I want to just drop a little tiny droplet of water on that antennae, just like a raindrop would be, and I want you to watch what this centipede does with it. Now, see if it does it. I'm just going to get its head back into shot for you. It's getting out, of course. A little bit of... just might be wrangling this little guy a little bit here. It might not work, but what they normally do is woken him up a little bit, guys. He's gone. I've lost him. It doesn't really matter. What I was trying to do was get a little bit... I'm just going to make sure he doesn't go down my trousers. But what I was trying to do is put a little bit of water on his antennae there. And what they do is they pull that antennae through the mandibles, and then they clean that, because those antennae are really important to them. That's what they feel around with, and it's just like a raindrop. If they get dust or dirt on them, they'll actually pull the antennae through the mandible and use their mandibles to clean it. It's incredible. But he's really active. I don't know where he's gone. I'm going to cross back to Jamie so I can find him and he doesn't go down my trouser leg. Okay, I'll see you just now.
We've left the hyena den for the moment, and I'll explain the reason why to you. Now, at this time of day where Brian, as magical as he is with a cameraman, he's the one responsible for bringing our wonderful images to you, he can't lighten it up any further, so we need to use spotlights. It's very important when we do get to share these magical and precious moments with the animals, that we do so ethically, and to spotlight, especially with such a tiny young cub that has got so much learned, to spotlight the adults. We definitely don't want to distract that cub. You never know. We discussed how they had stolen the kill from Mvula. The competition out here is exceptionally heavy, and a leopard or a lion will go out of its way if it thinks that it can kill a hyena, particularly a cub, and reduce the competition for its own offspring in the future. So by leaving them, we're just giving them a bit of peace so they can rely on their own senses without our spotlight intruding on basically their family home. We'll continue our search for all manner of interesting creatures, but Rich, you are after the answer to which is the most rare, or which is the rarest creature that we see in the Sabi Sands, or the Western Sabi Sands. You guessed pangolin, brown hyena, or black rhino is also an option. Sure, I think if I had to pick, you've chosen very good options. They are all very rare. Probably the least seen is a pangolin, but you're right about the black rhino and the brown hyena as well. For both of those creatures, this habitat isn't exactly really what they're looking for. It isn't right. So brown hyena prefer rocky areas where they can make their dens, and black rhino, of course, prefer really dense, thick vegetation, particularly of acacia and sicklebush thickets, which we generally don't flashed across us. Just very careful, doubly checking the waterhole around us. And while I do, you might spot the lights of the camp that we're passing through. And Robin, in Michigan, you were wondering if we ever get animals passing through our camps. Yes, we absolutely do. A lot of the camps are fenced here. That generally keeps out the bigger animals like elephants. Oh, that's a rock. Thought I saw something there. That being said, there is no fence in the world that can keep out a leopard. Leopards can jump over fences or climb underneath them without a thought behind it, and they do occasionally come in. I know that the famous Karula, the Queen of Djuma, is renowned for it and has been known on occasion to pull down and roll in fresh laundry off the washing line. And they do come through, and you will get all manner of things like nyala and bushbuck, which are also generally the first to habituate, and of course our favorite, the vervet monkeys. The vervet monkeys love to come in and see if they can get lucky if the kitchen door is left open. Double checking for all manner of wonderful nocturnal creatures. Laura, you were wondering if we get porcupines on Djuma, because Laura is one of our regular internet viewers, and we've been very blessed to have a very special, loyal fan group who follow our drives. Laura, I obviously have not seen a porcupine here yet either. Hello, Nat.Geo, careful. I wouldn't say they're rare. I definitely see their tracks, especially in around the sort of eastern edge towards Drakensberg Road, but I still haven't seen a porcupine yet. It's interesting. I think that it is safe to say they are rarer here than they are in the more southern double checking very carefully in this thick drainage line for our last few moments of our safari. A perfect hiding spot for leopards in the dark. Whilst we continue on our nocturnal search, it is time for me to say goodbye to you all. So thank you very much for joining us, and as always, thank you for your incredible questions. And we will catch you tomorrow morning, but for the last moments, let's head across to Peter. Bye-bye for now.
Well guys, from Jamie, we've got a couple of minutes left. Guess what we're going to do for those few minutes? Come on, I'll give you one guess. Yep, now you got it. We're going to keep looking for the leopard. Although I think as I said earlier, I've made total peace with the possibility that we're not going to find him today, but tomorrow is another one. That's one thing I do know from years of experience in this, is that you will see more beautiful things every time again. Every day is a new adventure. Every day gives new sights and sounds. That's why this never gets boring or dull. Just a quick question there from Amber, and we're actually driving in quite a good place to explain it. Amber out of Michigan. Sorry guys, they're not looking at you. Normally, I would be looking at you to talk, but I wouldn't mind spotting this leopard. That would still be my first choice if we could suddenly see him, but maybe not. Amber, you're just asking, what is a drainage line? We are driving in a drainage line at the moment. So these are the mud banks, if you want, carved out by the water. When there's big rainstorms, we would be underwater now. The water can be 6-7 feet deep here, and then it rushes down this. Let me just show you quickly. Here's a kingfisher's nest. I think it's actually one that was, they showed one in this area on the walk the other day. You see the hole there in the mud bank. And they typically dry most of the year with only water flowing through them after big rainstorms, or sometimes for a few days if it's been raining heavily. So yeah, whenever we refer to that, this is what we're talking about. Hello Ray, good question there. How many leopards do I know by name? In this area that we will see, Shadow, Karula, Mvula, Tingana, those are the ones that come to mind straight away. Tandi, Sindile, further south, Anderson Male. Those are the first ones that came to mind. If I go and sit down, I'll remember a few more. Of course, Djuma, thank you very much. I must admit that one came through from the controller. Thanks, Nikki. Djuma and Induna, two males. Not Induna, Djuma and Quarantine, Karula's last cubs. Many of you know them well. And then I've known other leopards as well. I won't see them anymore. They would have moved off into other areas, Misho and Duna and so forth. Many leopards that we know here, many leopards that we can see, but we will look again for them tomorrow morning. From myself, Peter Pretorius, it's been great fun, awesome safari, even though we didn't find the leopard. That's what it's all about, the search. HT is going to say goodbye to you. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, our time, evening yours. Bye-bye.
Well, it's out there somewhere. That leopard is out there definitely somewhere around, and you know what, all we've got to do is keep finding and keep looking, and the guys have done an amazing job today. One of the things that, as Pete was saying, it's about the safari, it's about the journey, it's about being out there, and the most important thing for us is being there with you, talking to you down the barrel, right wherever you are, and being on this live safari with us. It just blows our mind that we can do this, bring the African bush to you. It's really, really important that we interact with you, you ask the questions, and it's just fantastic. Joe Veal, you asked a question about the snake before that I didn't answer. I do apologise. It was an African rock python, also known in this area as a southern African python, so apologies about that. But it's an incredible journey for us. All the people here do it for the love. There's something within us that we've had our love nature switch flicked in our souls, and that's why we do it. We're connected with nature, and everyone that's watching here, you're connected with nature as well. This journey that we're on, this Safari Live journey, is like nothing I've ever done before. And I think, you know, in Big Cat Week, it's about the big cats, but it's about the whole journey, as Peter said. You know, we are going to do everything we possibly can to find that leopard tomorrow, and more leopards, and lion, as much as we possibly can. We've got one more program to do tomorrow night. Now, let me just read out the times to you. 11 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which will be 6 a.m. for us tomorrow morning. Okay, we'll be here, same thing, doing exactly the same, going out there looking for big cats and everything else that the African bush can offer. I'm just checking how much time I've got there in the little corner there. I've got 1 minute, and I just want to say to you, thank you. That's the most important thing for us. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. It's really important that you know how dedicated we are because of you, watching with us and kicking it along with us. I've never done anything like this in my life. Live is nothing like edited television. It's something very, very special. There's no script. As I said before, we're members of the theatre, and when we buy that ticket, every single morning we go out, the show is different. It's an incredible thing, and I really, it's just incredible. A lot of people don't think we're live. This is live, coming to you probably 3 seconds later. I'm just checking the time. I've got 25 seconds to go before we go off air. And every single person in this team, the people in our control room, all the directors, Graham Wallington and his wife Emily, Nat.Geo Wild, you guys have put this together. We are on this journey. See you tomorrow.